Good morning. This is the regularly scheduled meeting of Board of Fire Commissioners. Date is Tuesday, April 18th, and the time is about 9:02 in the morning. Roll call.
Let the record reflect that Commissioners Ibarra, Glazer, Hara, and Nindberg are present, and you have a quorum.
Thank you. Flag salute, members. So, Commissioner comments.
It's been a while since our last commission meeting. In fact, right after the last commission meeting, I attended the Firefighter of the Year event with Captain Ruddle being honored. And then the week after that, actually, we had another promotional badge event. We're doing well. And once again, Hodgkins, that parking lot was totally filled. So it shows that we're promoting a lot of people, and that's great. April the 1st, we had Girls Camp. Yeah. That Council Member Neri Martinez also was in attendance for that. And that same day, actually, my city, L.A., had an event at Dearborn Elementary, really in the park. And then just this past week, we had another graduation event at Joe Tower 40. And I know Rebecca is proud of the fact that 4 of the new firefighters are female.
Yeah. That's great. Yeah. One of which was a single mother of 3, which was very impressive, getting through the drill tower with a single mother with 3 little ones. Well, maybe not so little, but it's been busy, actually, this last month. Well, I've been busy. And let's see. Girls Camp, I want to say thank you so much to Chief Alicia Welch for bringing that to the department. And this is the second one. It was extremely successful. And a lot of familiar faces, actually, in the camp, including Frank Lima's daughter, who said she had the most fun she's ever had. So it was a great opportunity for the young women of the city of Los Angeles. Following that was another thing Chief Welch brought to the department as well, was the women's seminar, which was very impressive. There were women from all over the nation, as far as Omaha, Nebraska, that came out to volunteer. And it was really great to, cross-pollinate ideas, and in a setting where it was all female, which is imperative, I think. And what I heard from it was the retention, that giving this opportunity creates a space for women to discuss issues that are specific to females. So I think that I am very excited, actually, that when we asked for funding for one camp, Councilmember Neri Martinez and First Lady Amy Lang Maitland came back with funding for 10, which was impressive. Let's see. We had there was a transgender training here done by personnel at Frank's, which was very interesting and very informative as well. And I thought it was really great that it was brought to the fire department. They're testing out the first one that personnel has offered. Promotional badge ceremony was impressive, of course, with almost 100 people. Graduation, of course. I did a couple ride-outs. 37s was, thank you so much. They fantastic. Spent the day with them down in Westwood. And then 3s spent yesterday afternoon. And Joe Castro's retirement, which was extremely impactful and impressive to see how many people he has impacted over the years, and the legacy he has left not only in that room but in the department was very, very, very impressive. And I'm excited to see that handball court that's donated to him. And And that's it. Thanks.
Okay, the promotional ceremony was great. I was able to attend that as well. Was out of town, so I missed a couple of things. But quick thank you to 73s and 97s for hosting me for some ride-alongs. That's it. Thanks.
So, report of the fire chief.
Thank you, Madam President. On March 22nd, I also attended the Firefighter of the Year luncheon honoring Chuck Ruddle. Great event. I like to compare that to the Hall of Fame. We can now say that Chuck has been added to the other legends. No. Test. Okay. I won't touch it. Okay, we ended with Chuck Ruddle entering the Hall of Fame. On March 29th, we had a promotional badge presentation that Commissioner Hara spoke about. We promoted 70 when added to the previous ceremony of 82. So within 6 weeks, we promoted 152 people. Later that same day, we gave an interview to Channel 7 about the anniversary of the civil disturbance that's coming up at the end of the month. We also followed that up with an additional press conference where we had Captain Miller, and he had a very compelling story. April 1st was the girls' camp that we spoke about, and it was, I agree, very meaningful, very well attended. We started that off with a little mini press conference, and Council Member Martinez spoke very well. And I think the visual, as you recall, there was a lot of female firefighters of all different ranks from throughout the country, all standing together. And we had the young women looking at us. Young women, looking at that vision. And I called for all the LAFD chiefs to stand with me. And the purpose was to give them, the young people there in attendance, the added dimension that you can not only become a firefighter, but you can rise to the level of battalion chief. And my hope is that someday down the road, a few of those, but not all of them. I'd like to have all of them. But the reality is we're not going to get all of them, but a few of those become firefighters for us, hopefully. And then we followed that up. We had the Women in the Fire Service ceremony the following Monday at Drill Tower 40. We had a good opportunity to interact with all the ladies from throughout the country. And then on April 5th, we had a World Police Fire Games press conference with Chief Beck and Sheriff McDonald and Chief Osby. Those games are coming to Los Angeles in August of this year. And it'll have a significant impact in the local economy. There'll be over 65 sports. Firefighters and police officers from throughout the world will be here participating. And then later that night, we had the retirement dinner for Chief Castro, and I agree, it was kind of a reunion of legends. And many people who had been retired for a long time came back to honor Chief Castro. And I had the opportunity to sit next to my old battalion chief when I was a probationary firefighter. And we spoke and reminisced, and it was great to honor Chief Castro, and it was great to see all the legends of the LAFD in the same room. And then April 13th, last week, we had the firefighter recruit graduation at Drill Tower 40. Not only did we have 4 females, we had 6 veterans. And last night we had recruit family orientation for Class 16-4. And then I also must mention that last week, in addition to all of this, I was very proud of the men and women of our department who honored firefighter Ron Herons from the Marietta, Georgia Fire Department. Firefighter Herons was here on vacation with other firefighters, and they had just visited Fire Station 63 in Venice. Later that night, Firefighter Herons and his group of firefighters were involved in a TA. They were allegedly hit by a motorist who was DUI. Firefighter Herons tragically lost his life. He was 23 years old. And from the moment that our first resource arrived to the moment that Firefighter Herons was placed on a plane at LAX to fly home, our people stepped up and provided him the appropriate respect and escort to the coroner's office, to the mortuary, and to LAX. And not only the LAFD, but the LAPD, the LA Coroner, LA County Fire Department, Torrance Fire Department. We also had LAFD apparatus along the way provide a tribute by standing at attention and giving the salute. So, and I called that chief the morning after from Marietta to offer my condolences. And I can say that without a doubt, without hesitation, all the public safety agencies, including UFLAC had a big role in this. We're on the same page and did the right thing, and I was extremely proud how we handled this. I'm equally sad for the tragic loss of firefighter Herons. That concludes my report.
So moving on to the verbal report by the Department on significant incidents from March 21 to April 17.
Good morning, Madam President, Commissioners, Chief Terrazas, Ms. Rafish, Deputy Chief Charles Butler, Operations West Bureau. In the early morning hours of April 13th, this past Thursday, resources responded to a structure fire in the Pacific Palisades on Las Casas Place. Task Force 69 was the first arriving resource, and they found 2 adjacent, descending hillside homes well involved with fire. They were quickly confronted with reports of an elderly trapped victim in a hospital bed in one of the structures. Ultimately, they treated and transported 5 patients to the hospital, and they were able to knock the fire down and get all of the patients en route to the hospital within 1 hour. Quite significant. Descending hillside homes are one of our most challenging buildings to fight a fire in. Pose a great deal of risk to our firefighters and chief officers on scene. They were also challenged at this particular incident by the fact that it was dispatched as a reported brush fire, which often happens in our hillside community. Someone sees smoke across the canyon and they call 911 and report a fire. So it gets dispatched as a brush fire. The challenge there is, one, bad location often because they're looking across the canyon at the incident, and then also we're responding in brush PPE, our personal protective equipment, which is significantly different than our structure PPE. So there's a bit of a change that members have to go through to adjust to the changing incident type. But our members performed in an exemplary manner, and all patients are recovering. That concludes my report, unless there's any questions.
Yeah, thank you. And verbal, one more.
Good morning, Madam Commissioner,
Good morning.
Chief Terrazas, Commissioners, Council, and Ms. Gomez. My name is Philip Flegel. I'm the Deputy Chief in charge of Operations Central Bureau. I'd like to share with you an incident that occurred on Monday, April 3rd. LAFD resources were dispatched to a reported automatic alarm at 8:08 in the evening to a large food processing plant at the 4220 South Compton Avenue. First company on scene found a large food processing plant with fire in the ducts of a cooking oven. When they got there, they tried to knock down the fire as best they could, but then the fire rapidly ran the ducting system to a big portion of the 71,000 square foot warehouse. The fire began to be blowing through the roof, and it soon turned into a major emergency structure fire, and companies quickly transitioned into a 3-hour firefight into defensive operations. Basically, 50% of the building was involved and contained to that one part of the building, and firefighters were there for 3 hours until the fire was completely knocked down, and we were there through the night knocking down hot spots. One thing of note with this fire was a significantly large fire, but through our strategies and tactics and developing a good plan, we were able to save the 2-story office building, which contained all their vital records, information, and data for this business. So a success in a big manner to that business. And another success was no injuries to any LAFD firefighters or civilians at this incident. And one other point of note is Commissioner Nimberg came on scene as well. And she was there to observe what was going on. We do have to talk about the high heels, and those aren't PPEs. So we'll get you some turnout boots next time, so that way you won't get wet. But it was good to see you there, and you got a good view of what was going on with that fire. So that's all I had to report. Any questions?
Oh, I stood back. I stood at the back line until you came and got me. Thank you so much. That was very impressive. I, from now on, am keeping the boots in my car along with the brush jacket, which are currently in the trunk of my car. Yes.
We won't put you into CTS. Thank you.
Yeah. That's appreciated. Thank you.
Okay. Verbal report by the medical director.
Good morning, Commissioners. Fire Chief Dr. Mark Eckstein, EMS Bureau Commander and Medical Director. Significant EMS incidents since our last meeting. Sadly, there's been an uptick in violent crime in the city. We've responded to a number of those, particularly involving children. On April 4th, in 33's first in incident 968, it was a 3 teenagers shot in front of John Muir Middle School right after school. Ended for the day. 17-year-old female, 17-year-old male, and a 15-year-old male were all shot, transported. Tragically, the 17-year-old male succumbed to his injuries. On April 15th, in 15's first in, not far from USC, 4:35 in the afternoon, a 3-year-old was shot in the face. She was transported to USC. Remarkably, she made a full recovery and the bullet missed her vital organs. On yesterday morning, around 7 a.m., in 2's first in, near USC Hospital, a 15-year-old teenager was also shot, tragically resulting in permanent paraplegia for this young man. All these incidents, our resources responded admirably, and transported the patient quickly, gave him the best chance of survival. We had a great save on March 29th. Rescue 6 and Engine 13 responded to a 68-year-old female. Family saw her collapse. Our dispatchers at Metro provided immediate emergency instructions for bystander compression-only CPR, and our EMTs and paramedics responded extremely well, providing basic and advanced life support. And she was able to achieve return of pulses in the field and began breathing on her own upon arrival at the STEMI Center. And finally, we had a significant incident with a few pictures on April 4th. I responded as well to a physical rescue in 50's First In Battalion 2. This was a incident well covered in the media. It was a tanker truck carrying 80,000 gallons of milk that apparently ran over several cars and then tipped, crushing several vehicles. If you see the picture of the cars in these, as shown, that used to be a car. There were 2 individuals there. The Battalion 2 resources had a number of challenges. There were extrication of at least 3 individuals from 2 different vehicles, and the debris was spread over quite a distance in the 2 freeway. And also, miraculously, everybody from this incident survived. And again, the Battalion 2 resources did extremely well with a very challenging extrication, very dynamic incident, and in terms of handling a very challenging MCI. And again, nothing short of a miraculous event that everyone survived these injuries. So our people did extremely well with a very challenging MCI. That concludes my report. Thank you.
Thank you. So, do we have presentations? Yes. Okay. Presentations.
Good morning, Board of Fire Commissioners. I am Firefighter David Ortiz, Public Information Officer with the Community Liaison Office. This morning we are here to recognize the high school magnet program that has been initiated in relation with the LA Unified School District and the Los Angeles Fire Department. I'd like to invite up Battalion Chief Alicia Welch, Captain Rich Carlin, Firefighter Kevin Smith, Firefighter Edward Gallagher. These folks that we are recognizing today have been instrumental in beginning the Firefighter Magnet program in the LA Unified School District in 2 schools, and no one can better explain what hard work has gone into it than Chief Alicia Welch. Chief Welch.
Good morning, Madam President, members of the Commission, Chief Terrazas, Ms. Radfish, Ms. Gomez. I'm Battalion Chief Alicia Welch, Section Commander of the Firefighter Recruitment Section. I'm here today to recognize and honor members of my staff, Captain Carlin, Firefighter Gallagher, and Firefighter Smith, for their demonstrated commitment to the development of our high school magnet program. I believe this program is an example of outstanding community service, and has ultimately caused the department to achieve its goals in relation to the strategic plan. A key component of our youth programming, thanks to Commissioner Glazier, is the incorporation of core values and life skills. The members have demonstrated, these members behind me on a daily basis have demonstrated a commitment to our core values. As evidenced in this chamber, every other Tuesday we talk about firefighting and EMS and all the tragedy that happens in the city. All of the members in here are very well trained to deal with those kinds of issues. What our members aren't very well trained to do is deal with the community, as the members behind me have. These members have taken a non-traditional path and devoted themselves and volunteered for this assignment so they can work in a hands-on way with these youth in the community. And they built this program for us from the ground up. This is an example of service in the development of our youth in El Sereno and Wilmington, where our fire chief came from. Many of our firefighters come from that area as well. These members conduct weekly uniform inspections, which model professionalism and also our pride. These members work independently most days. They lead those kids in physical fitness. They lead them in classroom lectures, organizing field trips, going on excursions. Their integrity shines through in every way in this regard. Members have earned the respect of the students, the teachers, the counselors, the principals, and the parents. In fact, every time one of my members wants to transfer back to the field to do all the life-saving, sexy stuff, we have a lot of issue losing our staff to those kids because they become so attached. The members have earned the respect, as I mentioned, and I want you all to understand that there was no curriculum developed. There's no formal budget applied to this program as yet. There's no tools and equipment afforded this program, minus the support that we get from the Fire Foundation. And on a daily basis, they use innovation to acquire what they need to provide the content for the program and to get those kids safe and out of harm's way, like Dr. Eckstein described earlier. Many of the high school students our members deal with every day are challenged. They come from broken homes. They have emotional or cognitive issues, some of them. Maybe they've never benefited from a positive relationship before. My members provide that example to them and give them hope that there is an avenue, whether it's in the fire service or some other positive outlet in life. I'm sure that these impacts on these kids are going to be lifelong. The members have demonstrated what teamwork looks like in the fire service for us. They teach and talk about and emulate every day how we work in the buddy system, how we help each other and develop each other and support each other when we're in trouble. The students are encouraged to function as a team and support the mission of the Magnet program through teamwork every day. The members behind me and all the members of my staff here today have demonstrated our core values and have ultimately positioned the department for the future. And for sure the youth of Los Angeles are going to be positioned much better for the future. So I'd like you today to join me in honoring Captain Carlin, firefighter future Captain Smith, and firefighter Gallagher, and the rest of my staff who's here today, firefighter Maddox, Captain Nahara, and firefighter Abel Avalos.
I wanted to add a couple of comments to that. I'll start by saying when I grew up in Wilmington in the third grade, I was exposed to fire service by having the local fire station of a fire company come to Gulf Avenue School, Engine 38. And I thought that when I saw the firefighters squirting water out of their inch hose line on the playground, I planted the seed for someday, I think I want to do that. I wasn't sure. I was only 8. But I thought, someday I think I want to do that. And then through the years, that program went away. It was called the School Visitation Program. Call load went up. We were losing resource. It became a program that could not be supported. But since I was appointed by the mayor, and I was asked in that process, how can we make a difference in the youth of today, to encourage them to become firefighters? And I immediately thought of, well, we need to revisit that program. And now we're doing it at the high school level. Someday we'll get into the elementary schools, and we're doing that in partnership with MySafe LA. Fast forward, I needed somebody to be in charge of that unit, and I had a vision, high school firefighter magnet program. I think the only direction I gave to Chief Welch is I eventually want to have one more than LAPD. They have 6. We have 4. So, Chief, you're kind of not done. But I have to say that it has exceeded my expectations. And when the school year started in August of last year, on the front page of the LA Times, the magnet program was highlighted within the LA Unified School District opening. And they were saying this was the path of the future. So not only are we making a difference, our program is being highlighted and will be a model, I think, for the rest of the country. When I meet with the different high schools, and recently we met with Dorsey so they could come on board, but when I talked to the banning counselors, they told me the impact, the measurable impact of the students. And I'm told that their pride is increased. They're part of an elite group of kids that wear LAFD uniforms, that exercise in LAFD gear. Their self-confidence has increased. Their grades have increased. Their fitness has increased. And I'm not naive to think that all of them are going to become firefighters. But what I do think will happen is that they're all going to be better citizens, and a few of them will continue to be firefighters. And I think a greater percentage will get into law enforcement and the military and other avenues. So that was a vision. This group behind me, led by Chief Welch, and we haven't mentioned Captain Mades. He was a big part of this. He rotated out to the fire station. We also have Captain Carlin, Firefighter Gallagher, and Firefighter Smith. They have made a reality out of that vision, and they're taking it to the next level. And I want to thank Chief Welch and her group. I also must say that Chief Welch is retiring soon. That wasn't a secret, right? No. June 1st is her retirement dinner at the Reef in Long Beach, in case anybody's interested. I don't remember the address, but it's across from the Queen Mary. It has been in existence for many, many years. I just told her, hey, I was in high school when I went to the Reef to help somebody there. So it's been in operation for many, many years. So Chief Welch and your staff, number one, we thank you, and we'll say thank you again before you leave. But thank you for your contribution to the department, but specifically for today's presentation, thank you and your staff for development of the Magnet High School program. Congratulations.
I'm going to invite the Board of Commissioners to take a picture with these honorees.
any more. Okay. So moving on to consent agenda items.
Okay, move to adopt consent agenda items 4A through 4E.
All in favor?
Aye.
So our first regular agenda item is report by the department on fire prevention inspection activity, all 4 quarters on calendar year 2016. EFC 17046 is the report.
Madam President, Commissioners, Ms. Gomez, and City Attorney, Assistant Chief Roy Harvey, Assistant Fire Marshal, your report on the 4th quarter. Fourth quarter statistics basically show the positive momentum that we started establishing when Chief Crowley and I took over in Fire Prevention Bureau. We came in, we had several challenges with regard to accomplishing the goals and the direction that the members of the Fire Prevention Bureau were getting as far as what they should accomplish. One of the first things that we did was emphasize the importance of doing 100% re-inspections and taking the emphasis off of hitting the primary inspections without following up with re-inspections. We thought that was very important, and then we also had some staffing challenges that we had to address. At this point, those things have been taken care of, and although this report is a little short of 100% that we anticipated for the year, we've already completed the first quarter for 2017, and we're right on target. So I think you'll really be happy with the next report that you get. At this time, I'll take any questions that you have on the 4th quarter.
Questions? I mean, I had questions about the days lost in schools, churches, and institutions, and the fire development division.
Okay.
It was like a significant percentage.
Yeah, it was a significant number of people. What happened, first of all, we had a couple of members off long-term IOD. Also, they were shorthanded in the unit to begin with, and people were being detailed from specifically schools and churches and institutions. We had people also being detailed out of that unit. One of the big things that we did when we first got there, once we realized the staffing challenges that we had, is we turned the management of the inspections back over to the captains, and we had them manage the vacant districts with V hours. So it presented some overtime opportunities for trained inspectors, and it gave an opportunity for new inspectors to be basically to shadow more experienced inspectors. Since we've been there, we promoted 12 or 13 new inspectors. Those inspectors can't hit the ground running. They have to be trained, and then they also have to accompany experienced inspectors to learn how to do the job properly. Schools inspections and institutions inspections are really complex. So even though they've passed the test and they're inspectors, they have to accompany more experienced inspectors in order to learn how to notice the hazards, which codes they're enforcing, and then to work with the hospitals and the schools to do the inspections. One of the things also, by turning the responsibility back to the captains, Captain Carpenter has been pretty innovative. One of the things he's done is he actually realigned the district. The institutions unit was getting pretty much 100% all the time. The schools unit was severely understaffed. So he moved some of his personnel into the institutions unit. He also, into the schools and churches unit. He also right-sized the districts. Some of the districts had as many as 600 inspections for an inspector, and some of the others had in the 300 range. So he basically realigned the districts with the more experienced inspectors. He keeps one district empty. He manages that district with overtime, and he spread out the workload among the inspectors. Also, we got new inspectors promoted. Now we have them trained up, so they're able to actually go out and do inspections solo. So the first quarter reflects those changes, and we're making progress. In the what was it? FDS was the other one that had vacancies. We had more experienced inspector twos, but we had
what's FDS?
Fire Development Services.
Fire Development Services?
Yes.
Which means?
That's where they do the plan checks and for all the new construction that we have going in the city. FDS, first of all, was understaffed, and then we had a couple of long-term vacancies with the inspectors. You'll notice in this year's budget upcoming that we asked for more positions, and that's to keep up with basically if you drive into downtown LA and you see all those cranes, we have to service those. So we have some challenges coming up that we're anticipating as far as training more inspectors to do the plan checks, to service the high-value customers, and then to keep up with the construction and the expansion in the city. But we've addressed that, again, using V-hours to provide overtime opportunities for the inspectors to step up and do those plan checks. And members of the Bureau really take a lot of pride in providing the service. I think we just needed to support them. We had some challenges. I think the different management style that we have and the support that we have for the captains. We've changed a few chief officers and a few captains in the Bureau, and like I said, we're gaining some positive momentum.
Great. Good. And one other thing, the spot checks for the opt-out brush program, are you doing that? I had asked about that a while ago, about the doing spot, because you have like 78,000 parcels.
Well, yeah.
I don't know where
we have some challenges with the brush program. I don't want to go in too deep on last year's program.
Right.
Last year's program was not as successful as it could have been. What we've done is we addressed that as best we could. We're going to close out 2016 and proceed to 2017. There's some billings already out there. There's still money on the table that we're trying to collect before we close that chapter. But going forward, we have the plan that we are trying to accomplish, but we also have a backup plan in place that even if we have to go to doing things manually and paper-based, we're going to have a successful brush program this year. Last year, they made the transition without a contingency plan, and the new, basically 3DI, the new computer system never successfully got online to support the brush program. So we were actually sending out bills in December for the brush program that should have been sent out last April. So that's how far behind we were. This year, it's looking like we're going to be doing the first mailing May 1st, hopefully, and we should be on time and on target. The computer support is going to be implemented incrementally. Fortunately, Scott Porter was probably one of the best investments that we made by having a technology officer who understands and can coordinate with the other contractors to make sure that they stay on target. He speaks the language. He understands what they can do, what their capability is, so we should be successful. In case, though, we've already built in a contingency plan, and if necessary, we'll be able to go back to the 80s and do it manually with a paper-based system.
So did 3DI sort out the problems they had, Chief?
We're being very optimistic. Basically, we thought they'd be able to deliver the whole workable program by now. They've met some challenges. We're thinking in 2 weeks they're going to be able to deliver enough of the program that we'll be able to do the mailings, and then incrementally, as we need to do different phases of the program, they should be able to hit those earmarks. But they're not 100% where they should be right now.
Okay. And are you doing spot checks on the opt-out program?
On the, we're going to close out 2016,
right?
And we're going to do the spot checks for this year.
Right.
But what will happen is you have the mailings,
Mm-hmm.
the people respond back,
Perfect.
then
That's
we'll do the reinspection. So those that we left on the table last year,
Okay.
we may have to write out some of them. We did bill the people. Some people who automatically just pay every bill they get, that money we should get. We anticipate a couple $100,000, but this year we should be back on target.
Okay, great.
Okay. Thanks for the report. So it seems like I hear what you're saying, that you know, and I see that there's generally an uptick in fourth quarter versus third quarter,
right.
And second in some cases, but we almost never hit 100% of our goal. Is that a real is that 100%? Is that a real goal for us or not?
Yes.
So we should be hitting 100% at the end of each year. Is that
yes
right? Okay.
And we will.
Okay.
If you notice, we have the Fire Prevention Bureau leadership with all our captains and chief officers here.
Okay.
So
just a couple of, you know, we got close certainly in a lot of spots. A couple of ones I just want to check on. Our West Industrial Unit significantly underperformed Valley, High Rise, and Harbor. Just curious what happened there.
If you go to the airport, you're only talking about a staff of four inspectors. So one inspector, you literally lose 25% of your workforce. Also, you have quite a bit of new construction going on at the airport, and there was a change in direction there on how we actually reported the occupancies. So in cases where, for example, you had one business with several occupancies in there, like, say, a mall-type situation, that got reported as individual occupancies now.
Mm-hmm.
So that increased the actual number of inspections due. So you had a change in reporting, which we had to then, the inspectors had to spend a lot of time doing administrative work with the vacancies. They also have to keep up with the new construction because that's the highest priority. They had a change in leadership at that unit, and that officer actually did a great job since he's promoted to Captain 2. He did such a great job. We kept him in the Fire Prevention Bureau and moved him to a different part, and now we have one of the very senior captains who's volunteered to come to the Bureau, somebody with 33 years experience. So we anticipate doing a good job out there.
Okay, and on the overdues, what is? I mean, I understand there's going to be some number of overdues because they are in some kind of compliance process or a legal process, so that
right.
You're never going to have a zero number there. But what do we think is our goal? Is it under 3%? Is it 1%? Or what do we think is the right goal for that?
Again, we have a change in philosophy now, and just to give you an example, what's happening now, I'm not sure of the total number of legal actions that took place all of last year, but when I got to the Bureau and Chief Crowley got to the Bureau, there only been 7 cases sent to legal in the last year. Right now, we have 26 cases that have already been filed. Okay, we are doing inspections, re-inspections after 30 days, and if somebody's out of compliance, we're filing. So what you're going to see is a significant increase in legal action by the city attorney's office. We changed the name of our compliance unit back to legal, so it kind of different attitude goes with that. Our inspectors were very frustrated with the process that we had as far as it was difficult for them to get a case from their unit to the city attorney's office because our legal unit kept bouncing it back. We streamlined that process now. The inspectors that are in the legal unit, when they get a case, they take ownership of it, and they take the ball from the door when they get it across the finish line. If there's any training needs on what we need to get from the inspectors, that just gets addressed as a training issue. So we're eliminating the bounce back. We want our inspectors to go out and do the inspections, do 100% of the re-inspections, and then anybody who's out of compliance, we want it to go to legal. We literally have to retrain our customers. The citizens are used to the Fire Prevention Bureau coming out, citing them, and then never even coming back and doing a re-inspection. We were not doing 85% of the re-inspections. So 100% re-inspections, no compliance, we're going to legal.
So that all sounds good. My question, though, is more, I'm looking at the early warning report here, which is a really important part of your report that you guys provide to us. Right now for industrial commercial, for example, I see that we have 2% overdue. My question is just how do we know as a commission is that 2% overdue as a result of your more aggressive legal stance, in which case then, okay, that's a good number, right? Or is it because we actually missed a bunch and we are headed south in terms of meeting our goals? And so that's why I'm saying, is there a number in there that we should be saying, okay, if we get over a total of 3% overdue, we should be saying, hey, what's going on with that?
Okay. Yeah, what's happening, some of those are residual. What's happening is when we got here, we were 1,100 overdue. Mm-hmm. Now I think total Bureau-wide, we're at less than 200 overdue. So those things are being addressed. The inspectors' first priority is to do their own district. A couple of things we had to clean up as far as how we work with Brycer, how we do our re-inspections, how we manage our districts. So once we have had to present a clear vision to the members of the Bureau, they actually have to believe in it. So it's a pretty big ship, and we're turning it. Like I say, it's positive momentum. As you recall, the last fire marshal and assistant fire marshal had a vote of no confidence. First thing we had to do was go about rebuilding the confidence of our personnel. We had to change out some of the leadership and set the tone, and then hopefully get the staff to believe in what we're doing. So we need some small victories. We have a lot of challenges, certain things like cars. A lot of our personnel spend unusual amount of time getting their cars towed or serviced, which prevents them from doing their job. We got the car order in, should have been all electric cars, now they're gas cars. We're not getting delivery to the cars until August. So we have 25-year-old cars in our fleet. We should be on a 20-year rotation for replacing cars. With this year's order and then the order that we have in the next budget, that'll be a total of 60 new cars coming to the Fire Prevention Bureau. That's going to make quite a difference. But I'm standing up here telling you, sir, and I'm not sure if you know me yet. When I say 100%, It'll be 100%.
I certainly appreciate the confidence and the commitment. Again, looking at the overdue question, does that early warning report, does that cover re-inspections as well? Is that showing the overdues for re-inspections as well as first inspections?
Those are mainly re-inspections. But we asked that we could present the first quarter report, but you guys already had those packages. First quarter report, you'll be happy.
Okay. Well, I'll look forward to seeing that. I appreciate what you're telling us about the public safety section, that things are getting better. That has been a real problem area. And it looks like for the last year, we only got 36% of inspections done for the film unit. And the schools and churches, finished at 73, which were two of our lowest numbers. So, our overdues are also creeping up there. We've got a 7% overdue in that area. And on re-inspections, it looked like for 2016, we got no re-inspections done for the film unit. So, are you telling me I should just not look at these and wait till your first quarter report?
You should receive and file it. That was a different management. You'll be happy. Don't worry.
When will we get the first quarter report?
It's in the can.
You said it was done, right?
It's done.
Okay, so we will see the first quarter report then at presumably our next commission meeting.
That would be great.
We're prepared to be on the agenda at the next meeting.
Okay. I will hold the judgment until I see the first quarter reports.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Could I add a few comments? I want to acknowledge the leadership of Chief Crowley, Chief Harvey, and the leadership team. And I think it's significant and symbolic that the leadership team is in the room. So they can hear their boss saying that they're going to be 100%. And that shows confidence. And I think the only clear direction, single important direction I gave both Chief Crowley and Harvey, was to create a team. Because my sense was that there wasn't a cohesive team throughout the Bureau. My sense now is that there is. You can hear by the comments made by Chief Harvey. I ride the elevator daily with some inspectors, and I always ask, how's it going? And I hear universal positive comments about your leadership, Chief, and Chief Crowley. So thank you all. Keep it up. I'm very proud of you.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Move to receive and file item 5A.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
So 5B is report by the department on fiscal year 2017-18 annual cost of special service fee adjustment.
Good morning, Commissioners, Fire Chief, Terrazas, City Attorney, Ms. Gomez. Good morning.
Good morning.
My name is Muriel G., Senior Management Analyst in the Administrative Services Bureau. This report is a review of an annual review of the Fire Prevention Bureau fees. The proposed fees have been adjusted with approved cost of living increases, and the inspector hourly rate is being proposed to be increased from $199 per hour to $216 per hour, a 9% increase to meet cost recovery. The expected revenues from the increase will be $33 million in fiscal year 17-18, an increase of $1 million. I'm open to any questions. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you so much.
Okay, move to receive and file, adopt the recommendation for item 5B.
Second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
So 5C is report by the Office of the Independent Assessor on the assessment of final dispositions of LAFD cases pending a member-opted Board of Rights.
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
Sue Stengel, Independent Assessor. I've provided for your consideration an assessment of final dispositions of the Department's cases that were pending a member-opted Board of Rights. Before I give a summary, I just want to thank the department, particularly the people in the Professional Standards Division, for their assistance and cooperation as we prepared this report. We had numerous conversations about the cases and issues that are discussed in the report. Last year, I reported to you that on June 30th, 2015, 50 discipline cases were awaiting a member-opted Board of Rights. Since that time, the department has been working to resolve most of the cases to avoid a Board of Rights. This has resulted in the reversal of the original adjudication, reversal of the original penalty, or a settlement between the department and the accused. 1 year later, on June 30th, 2016, the department had completed 32 of the 50 cases. The purpose of the report was to assess the department's justification for the final disposition in a sample of those 32 cases, and we chose to review the cases in which the original discipline was a 10-day suspension or more. We summarized each case, reported on the original disposition and whether it was consistent with the penalty guidelines, provided the reasons the department reversed or settled the case, analyzed the justification for the final adjudication, and discussed other significant issues discovered during our review. We identified the following trends. First, the investigations were neither thorough nor complete. Witnesses were not interviewed, documents and recordings were not in case files, and investigative efforts were not documented. Second, the department lacks criteria for settling cases, and third, lacks criteria for education-based discipline. Fourth, written rationales for changing the original adjudication were not comprehensive and in some cases were not supported by the evidence. Fifth, the department did not provide justification for the number of suspension days imposed. And finally, no new evidence was discovered between the time of the original adjudication and the final adjudication. We've presented you with recommendations for moving the department forward, and I'm happy to address any questions you may have.
So, firstly, thank you for this illuminating report. I think there are a number of things in here which this kind of neatly summarizes that have been ongoing issues, which I think this commission will be getting additional report backs on very soon, specifically related to establishing clear guidelines around settlements for this commission to adopt, as well as specific criteria for education-based discipline and how that program is supposed to work. So that will handle that will bring some additional clarity and policy, I think, around some of those issues. There isn't a current request on our board project sheet about what training, PSD investigator training, should be looking like as well, which I hope to see sometime soon, because I do have one of my biggest concerns coming out of this is the questions around the quality of the investigation that are being conducted, and whether or not we have the expertise that we need in order to ensure quality of initial investigation as well as quality control of our investigations on an ongoing basis. So those requests are out there. Yeah, they're out there. They will be coming soon. I think that's going to start us down the path of trying to address some of these things in collaboration with PSD. Yes, that's what I have for now.
I think one of the concerns that we've had is that there was direction by the prior commission to not enter into any settlements. So that created some different structural problems in PSD in the department, and I think this commission has informally taken a different position, but we thought it was really important that the commission in total take a public and have an open discussion about that. So one of the concerns is that the department has engaged in these settlements, which we're not against, but we just thought it would have, it was like putting the cart before the horse of not having this sort of discussion beforehand. I think that's kind of one of the concerns that sort of underlies kind of the way that this has evolved. So when are we going to be able to have that discussion?
We, at the end of the report, there's 6 recommendations, and we wholeheartedly agree and working towards accomplishing all 6. Some have been done, some are in progress. I don't have the date in front of me, but I know that they're coming soon.
What does that mean, soon?
I'd have to ask Chief Everett for the specific date, but he tells me that's on the agenda coming up.
I would anticipate they show up here in the next 4 to 6 weeks.
Okay, and then they'll report back quarterly? When are they? It should be ongoing, correct?
So there's a couple things that we're working on right now. What we are working on primarily is trying to have a policy statement, which is a one-time policy statement for the Commission to adopt, that will establish the criteria that will allow the independent assessor to actually compare a settlement or an adjudication against policy.
Right.
So the ongoing report is more of I think that we have started to talk about is a kind of state of discipline report that comes through, whether that's quarterly or twice a year or annually, we can figure out. But at this point, there's no way to get there's nothing to get a quarterly report on.
Right.
So I think the push right now is to get that policy done and brought to this commission, which I would anticipate should happen in the next 4 to 6 weeks.
Because I think once that is done, then it dovetails in with a lot of the recommendations. Because then we have an open discussion, not just amongst ourselves, but also with the rest of the department, because everybody in the department has an interest in this, whether they're in PSD or whether they're chief officers or UFLAC, whomever, and just generally the public as to how are we going to engage in settlements and what is the criteria that we're going to use. I don't feel like we've had that yet, so having these be done, I understand what the report, it seems like some of them are kind of haphazard. So having not had that discussion beforehand, it makes sense that some of them would seem that way.
Who's working on the policies?
The department with PSD.
PSD with my support and the support of the independent assessor.
Yeah.
I think that your position is appropriate. We're really fine-tuning what PSD is doing. And just to put it into historical context, in late 2014, when I was appointed, we had over 470 active complaints and 50 boards waiting. And what Ms. Stengel said is correct. The information from the reports hasn't changed. What's changed is the eyes reading the reports has changed. And those eyes have the experience of our previous PSD experience, not just myself, but Chief Everett, Chief Mathis. And we've really worked, similar to what Chief Harvey said, we worked with UFLAC to get buy-in towards support of an education-based disciplinary system. So we haven't fixed everything. We're in progress of doing that. The latest report I got last week, and we meet every other week for active investigations, we were at 140 compared to over 400. The 4-bureau system, we've decentralized PSD investigators. Now there's one assigned to each bureau to enhance the quality of the investigations that occur from the field. We are supporting all training requests from PSD to send their people to get more training. And at the end of the day, the goal, I think, is the same, that we're going to have a state-of-the-art fire service disciplinary system.
Yeah. So the other thing that I want to say about this is I think it's what PSD does is really hard because there's very few other fire service organizations that have as well developed a disciplinary system as we do. Obviously, there's a lot in law enforcement and in police and sheriff's associations, but not so many in the fire service, I think. So as we try to, just because of our specific history at LAFD, it's developed the way it has, and we're sort of trying to fine-tune it and make it better. And that's not an easy process. So we get that. It's hard. But that's why we sort of do this, and that's why Sue Stengel does the reports she does, because we need to keep fine-tuning it.
I agree. And one element I haven't mentioned was the effort to create a mediation component. So we think that is going to be an avenue that many of these complaints, rather than become a complaint, can go to mediation and get settled. So we're working with USC and PSD to make that happen, and we're getting closer. So I'm very optimistic about that, and that's part of the fine-tuning.
Just one more. I think because we had so many, we had such a backlog. I think it creates a little bit of a perverse incentive to clear cases rather than to ensure that appropriate discipline is handled in every instance. And I just want to make sure we're on the record for saying, look, we definitely want to have an efficient system, but we want an efficient system that meets out just discipline along the way, and that we don't end up overemphasizing clearance of cases to the detriment of handing out completing investigations thoroughly and providing an appropriate level of discipline. If we aren't doing complete and thorough investigations, and we aren't handing out discipline correctly, appropriate, and that means that folks who deserve discipline are taking the discipline, and those who should be cleared. In the medium to long term, that will cut at morale and quality of service in this department in like nothing else. So as we continue to discuss this, I want to make sure that we aren't creating incentives to clear cases and not do them thoroughly. If you are doing FireStat for PSD, and the main metric in FireStat is how many cases are cleared, I would urge you to consider what incentive that is creating in terms of the actions that people are taking. From my eyes, what that says is the incentive is clear your cases because we're just putting numbers up on the board. I would suggest that we should be reconsidering whether or not that is the appropriate goal metric for us, if that's what we are looking at.
Yeah, your point's well taken. I agree. We're not clearing cases to clear cases. When we meet biweekly, there was that huge backlog, and we went through case by case, evaluating the merits of that case. So there was a process internally to ensure that we're making good decisions. Now, as we move forward, since we've caught up, that's the second component of this, to fine-tune our investigatory process to ensure we're doing a thorough and adequate investigation, number one. Actually, let me back up. Number one should be, is it a legitimate complaint? Because some of these complaints on their merit should never have been complaints. But number two, once they are complaints, we need to do a good job of making sure the investigation is complete and do it in a timely manner. So all the efforts that are recommended in this report and other audits that will come in the future, we have a collaborative agreement that we need to work together to get this done. And it goes to your point. We'll be doing it appropriately and justly.
Okay, so my suggestion on as far as how to move forward here is there's a lot of recommendations in here. I think they're going to come back to us in a number of pieces over the course of the next, let's say, 1 to 3 months. So why don't we see what comes back and then have another discussion about what else we may need to have come in. Perhaps the President Ibarra and I can speak with, have an ongoing conversation with the independent assessor as far as what we feel like has been addressed by the reports that are soon to come, and then what may be outstanding, and then we can certainly refer back to some of the recommendations in this report along the way to ensure that everything is addressed. Does that work for?
Just one issue, and that is the amending of Rules and Regs Section 11L, which is somewhat of an outlier as far as fitting in with all the other recommendations.
Okay. Which recommendation is that in here?
It's recommendation number 6. And it's
okay, got it.
6.
So, okay.
Right here. There you go.
So what are you proposing as to 6?
I just didn't want it to be left to float on its own without a date to come back, because I think that right now the reporting procedures are a little bit unclear. The department is doing something other than what's actually written down in the policies and procedures, and that it would be beneficial to the department to have an actual policy written and disseminated, depending on what the department is interested in seeing from people when they have police contacts, arrests, or otherwise.
We're working on that. It's a modification of the rules and regs, so that's how 11L will be handled. That's recommendation number 6.
So why don't we have a report back on that then in 90 days, just to make sure that doesn't get lost. If we could also, I'm not sure this was specifically addressed in here, but within that policy also, if I could also add in there, I have some concerns about ensuring that we have a clear policy as far as interviewing members who are out, whether they are off sick or IOD or whatever it is. So if we could also, if I could add that to response to recommendation 6, is that there also be included within 90 days a clear policy on dealing with members who we need to reach and who are out. Madam IA, do you understand what I'm talking about here?
I do.
Okay. If anybody in PSD has a question, please see Madam Assessor, and she can clear that one up for you. But let's go ahead and put that in there, lump that in there with 6, so that we don't lose sight of either of those things. And with that, I'll go ahead and move to receive to adopt the report and recommendation. Oh, sorry, we have public comment. Thank you.
First one is from Patrick Butler on behalf of the Chief Officers Association. He's still here.
Good morning, Commissioners.
Good morning.
Our Chief Counselor, Assistant Chief Patrick Butler, Vice President of the Chief Officers Association. Before I begin, Commissioners, first of all, thank you for taking an interest in this, and also for your interest in looking at settlements as a way to manage the disciplinary process. But I'll also point out that settlements have been around for a long, long time in labor relations, so it's not that the department's creating something new here. But I appreciate the emphasis on this. On another note, I want to thank the folks from PSC, Chief Richter, Chief Sesser, Chief Crowley, and the staff for all the work they do. I will tell you that the fire chief has a stern commitment to maintaining discipline in the organization. As a chief officer, having served on several boards of rights, I can attest that the fire chief and his staff have a just culture in the organization and want nothing less than that. In terms of the report, the COA does have serious questions regarding several elements of the report by the independent assessor. And so one of the outcomes, I would say, is that you do not adopt the recommendations in this report until that we have more stakeholder involvement. Some areas, for specific example, would be on page 13 on her interpretation and application of the Firefighter Bill of Rights. I believe, and we believe as chief officers, that her interpretation is in error and incorrect and misapplied. The Firefighter Bill of Rights is a very encompassing protection on firefighters as well as police officers. Other aspects of the report, the findings don't necessarily support all the recommendations. The recommendations have some good merit in them, but on behalf of the Chief Officers Association, what we request is that you hold off until we have a little more stakeholder involvement, and it sounds like you're moving to that direction. Anyhow, definitely want to thank the board, the fire chief, and his command staff for maintaining that culture, that just culture. So, thank you.
Thank you. And now Freddie Escobar from UFLAC.
Good morning, President Ibarra, Honorable Commissioners, and Chief Terrazas. Freddie Escobar, proudly serving as the second Vice President of the United Firefighters of Los Angeles City, representing 3,200 firefighters, paramedic inspectors, and dispatchers with the Los Angeles Fire Department. I'm here to speak about the recommendations of the Office of Independent Assessors with respect to our members' opted Board of Rights process. While UFLAC supports many of the independent assessors' proposed recommendations to the Board of Right process, there are items that we like to have the Commission consider in addition. The penalty guide for sworn members that have been in place since 2008 has served as one of the methods used to assess alleged misconduct by UFLAC members. The report states that the common practice is to start the penalty guideline range at 1/3 of the starting point and adjust the penalty in accordance with mitigating and aggravating circumstances. We want to go on record that we are opposed to the starting point being 1/3 for the baseline of any infraction. Secondly, UFLAC would ask the Commission request a deeper evaluation of the Department case intake process, and if there are methods to determine if a case is substantial enough to be considered for the complaint tracking system. While the independent assessor audit reports poorly record keeping and PSD reporting inconsistency as factors in many of the settlements and reversals, but we would also question whether some of these cases should have ever been brought forth in the first place, and if there is a way to better filter things so there is a manageable and fair process for all of our members. On behalf of the 3,200 dedicated members of United Firefighters of Los Angeles City, I want to thank the Office of the Independent Assessors for putting together this report, and we ask the Fire Commission to support a discipline model that is fair, equitable, and manageable for all members. Thank you.
Okay. So.
Okay. Move to adopt the recommendation for item 5C.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. And so we don't have any public comment, so we can adjourn.
Move to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.